Thank you, Nick. It's great to be debuting Gather Round. So, Arika Resources, who are we? As Nick said, we've got two projects that we're developing and we're looking to bring them along at the same time in the Leonora-Laverton area. Yundamindra and Kakaini, and we've been focused on Yundamindra in the last 12 months, and Kakaini is probably 12 months behind. What really excited us and got our attention to get involved in this project about 6 years ago. Firstly, obviously the location, where it is. It's obviously in a gold-rich area. There's lots of activity around there, and lots of large multi-million ounce resource projects. The Yundamindra and Kakaini projects have both got significant historical gold production on them. Most of it all stopped around the early 1900s. Kakaini, for example, the Cosmopolitan Gold Mine, produced over 330,000 ounces at around 15 grams a tonne. It stopped in 1922, hasn't been touched since. Yundamindra produced around 45,000 ounces at around 30 odd grams a tonne. And once again, that stopped around the 1940s. Since then, there's been very little exploration done on there. There's been some drilling, and once again, they've really just people gone back to where the old timers had mined, and they were really focused on outcropping. Whatever was outcropping that they chased, if it was undercover, there was nothing there. So we saw a real opportunity, for significant discovery at these projects. So just a quick corporate snapshot. Look, like most people, we've sort of been hammered a bit over the last few weeks and gone from a 30-odd mil market cap down to about 11 or 12, I think, today, as of yesterday. But we thought we were really well undervalued at 30 million market cap. So there's great opportunities out there for lots of companies at the moment. Look, we're well funded. We've got a really strong board of worked with a lot of very successful exploration and gold companies into development, and then we've got a fantastic technical team led by Steve Valance, and he's just brought on another full-time geo who is going to be managing, or has been managing and reviewing our Kakaini project. So if I jump to Yundamindra, as you can see from the map on the screen, we're surrounded by elephants, and we're looking for elephant ourselves. We're right, 30 k's directly west of Sunrise Dam. But a lot of significant multi-million ounce deposits where we are. We're really the first mover in this area. This project actually hasn't been touched in 20 years, and it's amazing to get a hold of a bit of tenure in this area that just hasn't been explored with modern technology. What's really exciting about both our projects, and Yundamindra in particular, is most of the prospects already sit on mining leases, which gives us a great opportunity if we want to monetise that. As I go through and show, there's we're already hitting significant higher grade, close to surface gold, which is really exciting. The area is underexplored, and so the potential for a significant discovery here is really exciting, and that's what the opportunity lies for us. So if I zoom in a little bit closer on Yundamindra, see the Gaia joint venture, which was announced by Gold Road with Iceni in December last year, and that was a $44 million joint venture, and puts our market cap in perspective. They've only just started a little bit of air core on that, and only got some early hits of around 8 metres at 1 gram a tonne, and you'll see some of the intercepts that we've been hitting. We actually think that we actually sit in the real juiciest part of this structure, and you can see we're calling it the Yundamindra syncline, but in fact we've got two structures converging, and then they meet in our southern section, which just hasn't been explored at all. Historically, there's been some drilling. The last real drilling was done by Sons of Gwalia and Saracens back in the 80s and 90s, and early 2000s it stopped. So it hasn't been 20 years since this has been drilled. They focused largely on a couple of prospects, and it looked like it had been significantly drilled, but when we interrogated the data, 97% of the drilling was 50 metres or above, and it was actually all air core or RAB. And what they were doing is obviously chasing high oxide supergene resource. Didn't meet their metrics at the time. I think gold was around about $300 an ounce. It's a little bit different today. So fantastic opportunity for us because it basically hasn't been explored and the source of the gold hasn't been chased. So just another fantastic opportunity for the company. We've started drilling. We've drilled less than 1% of this prospect so far. So we've also started drilling, but we've actually, when Steve came on board, our Jaws, he came on board in October, he just did all the background work that needed to be done that hadn't been done on this project, and we're doing it now at Kokani. He went and got all ultra-detailed aeromagnetics over it, got independent consultants, highly respected consultants to identify all the structures and everything that was happening there, and then we went and did an analysis of all did a geochem analysis of all the soils, and overlaid on that top, and you can see all the little dots sitting on there. They're all the historical shafts and mines from the early 1900s that have been identified so far. And every time we go out there, we find another one that hasn't been recorded. It's just littered with these historical shafts and just hasn't been explored any further. The area down to the south is probably the most exciting part of this, and just hasn't been explored. It's where you expect to see things really starting to open up. We've been focused on Pennyweight Point and Land at Last, and that was largely where Sons of Gwalia and Saracens had been drilling, and we had the most information, so that was the obvious point for us to start drilling. And we've got some fantastic results there, and those two prospects are building. But the more technical people we speak to, everyone's really excited about this southern area, which just has not been touched at all. There's virtually no drilling down there. We've obviously identified a couple of historical old shafts down there, but they were previously unrecorded. So if I jump into the eastern corridor, I'll split this up. Also, they've got the eastern corridor and our western corridor, and then obviously the southern central zone. So the eastern corridor is our Pennyweight Point prospect, and this is where Sons of Gwalia had focused a lot of their historical drilling. Once again, only very shallow. Effectively, they drilled with the air core until they hit fresh rock, blade refusal, and stop. So hadn't chased the source of it. They were getting some, obviously some cracking numbers out of that. They got up to 8 metres at 56 grams a tonne in some of their results, but never followed it up. This prospect already, we've undertaken, we took our first drilling program in May last year. At this prospect, our first program is August. We've only done 2 programs at this prospect, and already it's defined over 350 metres. To a depth of about 180 metres. That depth has actually increased. We just put out an announcement this morning, which I'll touch on the next slide. And we've also identified this Pennyweight Point sits on a structure over about 4.5 kilometres, and it's actually parallel structures we're seeing. And in that last image, you probably saw the old historical workings sit perfectly on all these historical structures. So it's highly encouraging for us moving forward. So if I look at some of the drilling, this is our drilling. This is what we've drilled so far at Pennyweight Point. You can see some of the intercepts we're getting. We're getting consistent 20 to 30 metres at 2 to 3, up to 4 grams a tonne. Really, really exciting. You can see down the bottom there in the red, we just announced this morning. We got our first diamond holes back from Pennyweight Point. This has actually extended the mineralisation a further 50 metres down plunge. And some of the intercepts you can see there, 36 metres at 2 grams a tonne, 24, 2.5. So that's really exciting. We're chasing source, and we really think, there's already significant ounces in the ground just in this little prospect already. So we're really encouraged. It's open to the north and to the south. You can see there's just on the left-hand side, there's actually a fault disruption where we actually didn't get any mineralisation, but we're actually we can see, and we're highly encouraged, that it's just been a shift into that mineralisation. We think probably to the east, and when we drilled sort of past that, we just started to get a sniff of mineralisation coming back. So it looks like it's just a sort of a small depletion zone. Once again, it sits on a structure that's over sort of 4 odd kilometres. This is a snapshot of the soils that we've done, and as you can see, which is also gives us encouragement that this structure continues on. As you can see in the little blue box in the middle there, that's the limit of the drilling that we've done to date. This obviously, the pink is obviously the high priority target areas. You can see it extends for a couple of kilometres to the north and kilometre odd to the south, and just hasn't been drilled, and it's it's got high gold anomalism in the soil. So really exciting opportunity for us. And when we start drilling again in a couple of weeks, we're going to continue to keep stepping out expansional drilling along strike and at depth and building on this prospect. If I then jump over to the western side, this is a 16-kilometre corridor. Of that, 10 kilometres is highly mineralised. We've got 10 kilometres of historical shafts and workings on there. We've undertaken drilling and focused on Land at Last, and Land at Last is right at the top end to the north of this corridor. As you can see, once again, we're hitting fantastic intercepts, shallow intercepts, but we're actually starting to get into the fresh rock. But once again, it's really exciting. This Land at Last prospect is already defined over about 850 odd metres to a depth of about 150 odd metres. It's also got these cross-cutting structures, which we're actually seeing over the whole Yundamindra project. And the cross-cutting structures at Yundamindra, and you can see there the F1 fault is highly mineralised. And you can see at the bottom, on Tuesday we put out our first diamond hole on the F1 fault. We hit 14 metres at 3 grams a tonne, which actually extended the mineralisation another 40 metres down plunge. So this is already shaping up to be a significant prospect. But once again, it's only a small piece of this mineralised corridor that we've drilled to date. So we're really encouraged as we slowly start to step out our drilling. This probably shows a better snapshot of the historical drilling. You see the historical drilling at the top there, which was done 20 plus years ago. Some fantastic results were hit, but they also never followed up. The gold price really was driving that. But we've hit, you can see our drilling there at the bottom. We're drilling into the fresh rock. We're chasing the source, and we're looking for the big prize. We're looking for the next multi-million ounce discovery in this area, and the signs are really, really encouraging. As I've touched on a few times, particularly this western side, there's effectively been no drilling below 50 metres, and that's effectively where the fresh rock starts. So we're really starting to see some scale. There's real scale potential here. We've started, we put a few holes into Queen of May. Queen of May is about 5 kilometres to the south of Land at Last. You can see on the slide there some fantastic intercepts we hit there. We only put 3 holes into it. But it's just started the program that we're really starting to step out, and then we're after the big prize. There's probably really significant ounces already in those couple of prospects we've got. They're on mine leases. We could monetise them. There's mills all around us, but we're looking for the bigger prize. So we've started to step out and look in the southern section and start to chase some of these high priority targets. Banjo's Cant, which is in the southern section, we went and walked down there. We actually come across an outcropping quartz ridge, which was up to 20 metres thick, which went for about 4.5 kilometres. We went and rock chipped that at 80 odd metre intervals, and it's come back highly anomalous. There's alluvial workings all over this project, and so that's drill ready to go, and that will be part of our upcoming program. So ready to drill test that. Another one of those is Queen of Sheba, which is a cross-cutting structure on the eastern side. Once again, significant rock chips. There's historical workings for about 400 odd metres. Very limited to no drilling done on these prospects. So there's a lot of smoke happening here, and we're just chasing the fire. As you can see, this is more sort of a global, and you can see Sunrise Dam and a few of the others there, but you can sort of see the interest and particularly those people, technical people, really exciting, that southern plunge section, and that's sort of where we're expecting and hoping things will really open up. So there's a real large footprint being built here, and there's real scale potential developing, and we're really excited to do that. Finally, I'll just touch one quick slide on Kokaini. Look, Kokaini's just as exciting, but it's probably 12 months behind Yundamindra. We're just starting to do soils. You can see Genesis and Saturn all around us, particularly if you look up to our Ithaca prospect in the north, on the Ulysses trend we're right next to their operation. That's a long strike. We're doing soils on that. That just hasn't been tested at all. And then we've got our other Cosmopolitan mine, which has had no attention. Altona, once again, significant historical production, had no attention. We've already got a small deposit on 3 of our prospects, but we're reviewing that at the moment, and we're doing a lot of work on Wandon and Mulga Plum because they're all undercover. Significant alluvial workings, but no one's ever put any drill holes in there, so we're really excited by the potential of those. Finally, next 6 to 12 months, we're going to look a lot different, particularly under Mindra. We've got a really aggressive, methodical drilling plan coming up, which we'll do for the next 12 months, really drill this out. And it's quite highly likely that Pennyweight Point Land at Last will not be the best prospects at Yunda Mindra. There's so much going on there. It's just a matter of trying to chase and find out where the biggest fire is. So we've got a really exciting 12 months ahead, and we hope you come along for the ride. Thank you.